Real talk, real life, real sisters, and real Southern. Welcome to Southern Sisters. We're Megan, Lindsay, Courtney, and Evie. 4 sisters with 16 kids between us, running small businesses, chasing big dreams, and keeping it real along the way. Each week, we're diving into all things self-care, motherhood, business, and faith, sharing the good, the messy, and the hilarious moments that come with it. Whether you're striving for balance, chasing your dreams, or just trying to keep the kids fed, we're here to remind you that you're not alone. So grab your favorite drink, get comfy, and let's chat.
Welcome to our episode of Southern Sisters. We are so glad you're here. What a great evening. I'm so excited that we get back together. This is awesome. I've been looking forward to this all week. What an amazing thing. Okay, first off, before we jump in to our icebreaker question, I just wanted to say thank you, listeners. We have been looking now. We have had 18 episodes out, and we have had over 2,500 plays.
Wow.
On this. And for those people that are listening across the pond over in the UK and Wales and Scotland, like it keeps growing exponentially. Like every week, it's more countries and more people.
It's the accent.
There's people listening in Mexico. There's people listening in Canada. There's people like literally all over the world. And it is so terrifying and exciting.
Terrifying, right?
What? Hi. I really feel like the only way we make this work.
I love you, my people.
The only way we make this work sometimes is just by thinking like that no one's listening.
It's true.
It is the truth.
Like it's just us. Yeah.
It's just us hanging out.
Don't think about it.
Don't think too much. Oh, so it's crazy. But we did want to continue and keep sharing reviews from people that have been posting on Apple Podcasts. This review is from Serena Dawn, and she says, I have to sit in the dreaded car line for over an hour every Thursday. Having a new episode every week on this day makes it so much better. Every time I listen, it makes me think of ways I need to work on my priorities, especially my relationship with my Savior, which trickles down into every other part of my life. Preach. These sisters are so real and brave with their audience and how they share their life stories, and they are hilarious. It's refreshing to listen to something that will uplift me. You can feel the goodness this podcast puts out into the world. So thank you, friends.
Thank you.
That's
so
amazing.
Sweet. That's so sweet.
Okay, so today we are going to talk about marked by growth, grace in the stretching season, because we all have them. I feel like we talk about growth and struggles a lot, but isn't that what life is made up of?
Yeah.
So, yes, that is what we're going to do. But before that, we have our icebreaker question. And the question for this episode is, if your life had a theme song for each day, each time you entered a room, what would it be? If your life had a theme song.
I thought of yours.
Yeah, let's do each other's.
There she goes.
There she goes
again.
There she goes. I don't know why it just popped into my head. That would be it. Yes.
I love it.
Always.
That
Never
is
home.
not what I thought for myself.
Oh, what was yourself?
Yeah, I want to hear what you thought for yourself.
This girl is on fire.
That's a good one.
All the
Love
time.
Mine was that, call me nuts, but I like it frantic. Oh, that's a good one. Jamie O'Neill.
Yeah, yep.
That's a good one. Mine, the only thing that popped in my head was because I'm happy. That one.
That's a good one.
Just because I wake up every day and I'm happy.
So happy.
Whether my
new
kids
day.
or husband like it or not.
Hi, good morning.
Once I wake up.
I love
What
it.
about you,
Evie, what
I
about
couldn't
you?
think of one for myself.
Me neither.
What's one for Evie?
I jokingly told Josh that mine would be the Imperial March from Star Wars because every time I walk in the room, you never know what kind of mood I'm in. Lately.
That's a good one.
Lately in life.
Good one.
Yes.
I don't know why when I was just looking at you right then. That's funny. It would be true for your husband. But you're beautiful.
Oh,
That's the one that popped in my head for you.
You're beautiful. It's
so
true.
sweet. Thank you.
What would we do for Courtney? What would Courtney's song be right now every time she walks into a room?
Every time I don't know why this one just popped into my. Oh Lord.
I love it.
You might think I'm crazy. You know, CeeLo Green?
That makes me crazy.
Yeah.
Possibly.
That's funny.
Either that or a song like about being a boss. That's what I see with Courtney.
It's true.
She gets it done.
I don't know. Frantic fits, though.
I think
We all feel that one.
I was talking about for Megan.
Oh,
Frantic for Megan.
I think we're all in there.
I love it. Okay.
Lindsay's is life is a highway.
Yes.
True.
Yes. No, I'm leaving on a jet plane. Don't know when I'll be back again.
True story.
And my family doesn't know either.
Sometimes they come. Sometimes not.
I mean, me.
Extended family.
I do like follow my friend. Lindsay's like across the world
Yeah.
On
in an ocean somewhere.
It's true.
I love it. I think that's a lot of fun. That's amazing. Okay, so
That was a good icebreaker question.
that is a good icebreaker. All right, so let's have a mom moment. So we have a couple of segments that we're trying out this time, and this segment is called Mom Moment. And for this segment, I thought it would be great if we sound off about the episode that aired last week, our Mother's Day episode. What did we think about it? What were the thoughts?
I watched it with my kids, and they were like, like laughing at themselves, and it made me laugh. I was like, okay. I thought they busted us out accordingly. They said some things that I was like, what? And I thought they did pretty good. I could tell you edited a lot. Like they were, if you haven't watched the YouTube, you should, because those are hysterical. To watch their little moments and like the faces they make at each other are so funny.
And Jade be like, I hate when my mom tickles me.
Yeah.
And then Kennedy's over there.
They said stop it.
I hate it. Like that's Lindsay's
I literally
Poor
sat there.
Jade.
I sat there with Kennedy and I said, Kennedy, why are you tickling her? She just said she hated it. She's like, I don't know what she said, tickle.
Oh my gosh. Or whenever Luke gives the Zuppa Toscana recipe. That was what
Oh my god.
that's like potatoes and spinach and chicken broth. That's delicious. That'll be in the show notes. No, it wasn't.
I also love that Kennedy was
Should
like,
put the recipe on Instagram.
yeah, you should. Kennedy was like, my mom yells at me, and then in the same breath, she's like, she teaches me about Jesus. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm covering all the bases. And the fact that she said her favorite thing I make was spaghetti and meatballs, but I've literally only made that like once. I was like, guess I'm neglecting her and need to make that more. So
Maybe
that's on the menu
that was
this
just
week.
a really great spaghetti and meatballs
Apparently.
that one time.
That one time I cooked the spaghetti.
Tell her we have it
meatballs
at
from the
least
oven.
once a week. She can come over to my house.
Yeah. Okay. Well, she'll be like, yeah. So that I put that on the menu this week. So that was very eye opening.
Yeah.
What story was the one we needed to hear?
What was
ketchup
the plate
story?
ketchup thing?
Tell us.
She did tell it. She told it really good. But why did you?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember.
Does there have to
feel
be
the
a
wa-
reason?
Feel the warmth of the ketchup.
Yes.
So
like,
I saw
where
this
did you
thing
get it
where it's
from?
like I
Yeah.
saw it. I'm sure it was an Instagram video or something where it was like trick your friends or whatever. And so I took a plate and I just poured a bunch of ketchup on it and I was like, guys, this is so hot. Feel this. This is so hot. And then they're like, go to feel it, and I go wham, and they're like, ah! Like they've never, they're like the look of betrayal
with ketchup ever.
They're like, Mom, why would you do this to us? And they're both in tears. And I'm like, you guys like need to chill.
Wait, but did
You
you
guys
like
need to
slap them at
loosen
the same
up.
time? Did you be like,
No. I did it separately. They weren't
separate.
around.
they weren't around?
No. So like I did one and then she was traumatized and then I did the other one and he was traumatized and I was like, man,
You need to do more jokes with your kids. Apparently.
obviously.
I do stuff like that
For
all
Mother's
the
Day,
time.
I'm giving you a can of shaving cream and a feather.
Yes.
Jade.
All
Jade.
practical jokes.
Yes.
I was
That
like,
was
yeah,
so
that's
cute.
my brother's kid. She knows about the
Yes.
feather and the
I
shaving
used to
cream.
play pranks on my siblings all the time growing up.
That's awesome.
Even I play pranks on my dad. I learned real fast you don't play pranks on my mom. To this day, I play pranks on my dad. It's really
That's
fun.
awesome.
Yeah.
What has been your
So-
favorite prank?
Probably whenever this past time on April Fool's.
Oh,
And I've done this before, but so I texted him and I told him that this was City Water Light, like from a texting app, and I said, "You did not pay your bill. We're gonna shut your power off
This is like hardcore.
And then I put like reply C to let me know you received this message. But I did it like I looked up online like what an official note from them would look like, and my sister and I, like, she was on the phone with me, and so I was like, I wanted to hear what my dad's reaction was. Yeah, and he was in the living room, and he goes to my mom, he goes, Letty, like City Water Light, like they just texted me that we didn't pay our bill. And my mom, she
Please
was like,
say it in a Spanish accent. Go back. It's way more funny. Do it.
but he said it in Spanish.
Oh, do it.
He was like, Letty, que no pagamos el bill del agua? And so then me and my sister just busting out laughing. This is the second time I've done this to him. But the first time was when they still had a landline and I could, star 69 or whatever, and I left a voicemail. And my mom was like, we paid the bill. And then they started arguing with each other. But me and my sister were just dying laughing. So then I call my dad. And I start reading the message to him. I was like, you did not pay your bill.
Did he reply C?
Yeah, he did. He replied C. He did.
My parents would kill me if I did that.
Oh my god!
But I've done the shaving cream thing to my brother, and I'm pretty sure I've told Jade, and I think she remembered.
Oh my
Poor
goodness!
Brody.
So
He's
funny.
got it coming. Brody's got it coming.
I feel like we're not as good of friends if you haven't played a practical joke on me.
I know. Every
Or do
time
you
I
just
get
like
a
me more
sketch
than you
text,
do?
I'm going to be like,
I
is
played
this
a prank
Evie?
on one of you. I was from a texting app, and it was like, I'm inquiring about your Facebook post that you're selling chickens. Wasn't that you?
Yeah, it was me.
She's like, no, I have done it. You just forgot.
Oh yeah, okay. I remember.
You could have
now.
done it again. She
I was
would
like,
have known.
chickens? I'm not selling chickens. That's funny, Evie.
Oh my goodness. That is awesome. There was one story that Luke told that I needed to know more about. I can't remember what it was.
Your mama jokes?
Yeah, do you remember what your mama joke was?
No, I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
It was good.
They just
I had no
thought
idea
you were like the
it was
coolest
that
mom.
impactful.
Yeah.
Apparently, it was.
You
no
never know
idea.
what they're going to say.
You'd never know what's going to
To
stick.
them, it was like, okay, like mom she can joke with us.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
your playlist thing for when they fight was hysterical. Is it like all Jesus music?
Yeah.
Is it like I love it. All hymns.
The thing that stood out to me was when they were going around giving advice.
Oh, that was so
that was
I
so
love
sweet.
that. But the one that really stuck out to me was Lily's. And she was like, if you feel like, your kids are getting older and you feel like they don't need you anymore like they did when they were little, she's like, they still need you. And I was like, that's
like,
so
don't be silly.
sweet. Yeah.
She's like, Mom, I need you now.
And then Jade saying, don't yell at your kids. She's like, that's what my mom tries to do. And I was like, because I do. I try not to yell at them.
We all do.
Because there was a point where I felt like I was yelling too much.
I thought she meant that, like, you do yell.
Oh, no.
You try to yell. Like my mom does.
No.
No, like my mom tries to do. That's what she said. So
Yes.
it's really good.
Yes,
It was
because there
cute.
was a point where I felt like I was yelling a lot,
Yeah.
and I was like, you know what, I need to apologize to my kids for doing that because I know it like makes them feel like they can't come to me if they make a mistake for something, and so I remember telling them like, Mommy's gonna try not to yell anymore.
You
So
know what?
I'm glad that she recognizes
That's
that
really
I'm
sweet.
trying.
I saw something online the other day that was talking about how the difference between kids that are fine, like even with your mistakes, are the ones that had parents that apologized. So like admitting fault rather than the parents that like pretended like everything was fine.
Yeah.
So what that really hit me. I'm like, I love it. My dad always did that. Like he always came back and apologized if there was anything, if he ever lost his cool or whatever. Both our parents did. So I always thought that was great to just admit, like, yeah. Parents we lose it every once in a while.
I think we need to take a minute to recognize how hilarious Atticus was because his one-liners,
yes.
like I knew he was funny and I know he mumbles under his breath things, but like when he is mic'd, like look out.
His one-liners
funny.
were fire. I was like, dang, we have a comedian in the family.
Yeah.
And it's not like they're not all funny. Like
Yeah.
they're all like, they're all funny, but that
Totally.
was above the bar.
He's
I was
quick
like,
with it.
Where do I
Yes.
begin on what I don't like about my mom? And you're like, okay, Atticus, you can think about it. He goes, no, I'm ready.
He was raising his hand.
or
Great.
scrolling Instagram before bed, or
Yeah.
stealing
Yeah, yeah.
his mom's card for Fortnite bucks.
Yes.
I was like, oh,
I loved it. It was
What a
awesome.
hoot.
But then he also said some
And then he
really
was
sweet
so
things.
sweet.
Yeah.
Yes, I was just so impressed. I
It was great.
I was impressed with all of them. I thought they did really good.
They did do a good thing.
Kate and Luke, like, even though Kate was the one that was mainly, like, Luke was jumping in too and, like,
Yeah, they were helping wrangle.
Yeah.
It was good.
They're good kids. You guys did good.
yes.
They are all good kids.
They're all great kids. So we are pretty lucky.
It's true.
All right. Okay. We're going to jump into our topic today. And so I thought it was funny. We were talking about this yesterday. Originally, this episode was going to be called Stretch Marks of the Soul.
Which is funny because Mom today told me, that's such a great name. I said, Evie hated it.
Evie hated it.
We trashed it.
So that's what I'm like.
Evie, why did you hate
Tell
the
us.
name Stretch Marks of the Soul? What is wrong with the word stretch
Evie's
mark?
like, I don't have any.
It's just one of those words that just
Like
you
moist.
don't
Like
like
moist.
it. Yes. Like I was reading it to Josh so he could help me come up with, you know, what to say, and he was like, I hate that word. I was like, I know. I was like, I hate it too. I was like,
But it gives you a visual picture. Like, it's very clear what that is. So, and we all know what that's like.
Yeah, we do.
Gotta love it.
Okay, so the first thing we wanted to talk about is what is one season that stretched you and how did it shape you? So did you have a season that stretched you deeply? Deeply.
Courtney's was literal.
Oh, when Courtney's motioning to her stomach.
Reshaped you and
Courtney had twins for her fourth and fifth kid.
yeah. So our older two kids are from a previous marriage and they would go to their dad's and our little 4-year-old, 3-year-old was like going around the
Crushed.
house like, Bubba, Dee, where are you? And I was like, babe, we need to get her a friend. And he was like, ugh. And then then whenever we got pregnant, and apparently I was doing acupuncture, and that is linked to like making your eggs drop more. And so, yeah, there's
Who knew?
like
Be careful.
scientific studies. So just so you know, be careful. I was like just trying to get, relax. And apparently I did really way too well. So then I got pregnant with the twins, and that was a total shock. And Jared's like, we got her a whole class. We didn't get her just a friend. Like, she got a whole class to boss around. So that was something that was completely unexpected in my life. I was trying to run a business and take care of 3 kids and, just deal with a new marriage. Like, we were still newly married, and I feel like we still are too in some ways. So when you have a blended family, we always say that like it takes at least twice as long to develop some like growth in your marriage, like because you have kids around all the time.
Yeah.
So it's like some of the things that people are able to get past and get through, it's like we would still struggle with those things a lot slower because we were just trying to keep our heads down and take care of kids. So having the twins was like being pregnant for the first time because I didn't really know how my body was going to handle it. And it was really, really scary. And I didn't know if I could have twins. And at one point we found out that like the umbilical cord wasn't even attached to the placenta for Dahlia. Like it was just on the side of my uterus. So like my body was working extra hard to feed, 2 babies. And with that comes like a lot of body image issues. Like you're stretched out there. I went 36 weeks. They were both 6'12" and 6'13".
That's a miracle.
So, and then I had to get a C-section because Everly was, in a different position every single time we did an ultrasound. And Dolly was just chilling out like side to side up above, like horizontally up above Everly.
Was that your first C-section?
Yeah.
So you never had
Right,
experience.
yeah.
So
it
that
was
fits
just-
their personalities now, knowing them.
I always knew that.
Yeah.
I would always
Doesn't
say Everly is going to be like high, like wild, and then Dolly's going to be the just chill. And that is exactly how they are. Like Everly's our thrill seeker, and Dolly is just, just chill. So, but they, when I had them and I had to get a C-section, of course, it's not ideal for that to happen, but I was in labor for like 12 hours with the straps that they do for the heart monitors.
Ugh, I hate those.
There were 2 of them instead of just one. And I was, sitting upright, and they had to put rags underneath. I had so much fluid and water, they couldn't really get to the heartbeat. So they had to roll up rags and stick them under the straps to make it tighter.
Ugh.
So I'm like in these bands for 12 hours. And by the time my doctor got there, I just was in tears. And I was like, please tell me this is going to be over soon. She's like, oh yeah, you're having these babies. And I was like, okay, great. Let's do this. So we had, and there's so much, even talking about it, there is so much in my head right now. Like even talking about
It's
it.
like flooding in.
Yes. It's like, oh, someone's going to think, she should have done this. And someone's going to think like, oh, this should have been this way. And why didn't she ask this question? Like there's all those voices of like judginess in my head of how people are going to react to hearing about it. But those aren't true. So just
Well, hindsight.
shut up, Stacy.
That's the voice in your head, right?
Stacey,
Not a
we love
listener.
you.
The mean
Different
girl.
Stacy. Different Stacy. It's true. Well,
Anyways,
because when hindsight's 2020, when you look back on it, there's a lot of things I would have done different with every single kid. When you're in the moment, you're like trusting the people that know better than you.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's different. I know.
Yeah.
But in that moment of stretching for you, physically, emotionally, all the ways, what are you most proud of from that experience?
I'm really proud that I nursed both of them tandem nursing for 6 months.
Yeah.
Like that was one of my goals. And I took like the liquid gold supplements. That's the only thing I can think of that was different this time, because I never could make it 3 or 6 months with other kids. I'd just dry up. So that was
Wow.
really amazing. And I was really proud of that, because that's hard.
Well,
Yeah,
and not
that
only
is
that, they were in the hospital. They were in the NICU for a little while.
They were in
So
the
you had to
NICU.
like pump and stuff and go home. That was a lot of work.
Yeah, and pumping, and my body naturally woke up every 3 hours to pump, even when they were at the hospital and I was at home.
That's so
I've
crazy.
decided any mom that has to leave the hospital without their babies is made of steel.
Right?
Truly.
There's nothing like that. And then like watching other people go home before you in the NICU, and just waiting for them to say, okay, today's the day. You're just like, why? Like that baby was way smaller than our babies. Our babies are just huge. Like it doesn't make sense to me why our babies are still here and they're not. Like, is it because we have really good insurance, or is it because, I just like,
Yeah.
it's so hard. And your postpartum emotions, like all the hormones, you're just, it's hard to think straight. And, I was really proud that we were able to get through they just turned 2. So like just being able to, like, I grew my business still during those first 2 years. I still held on to everything that we were holding on to. And I didn't go into this depressive state and just, lose myself. And I'm really proud of that, because that's hard. Oh, and I've lost like 90 pounds. So
Yeah, that's
I'm
huge.
super proud of that too. So
Do you have any advice for anybody that may be going through a physically stretching season with how you helped give yourself comfort during that time? Things that maybe you did to get through it?
I just think it's really important to take time for yourself, and also to not judge your body and to see it as a blessing of what it can do, instead of all the talk of, what it's not doing or what it looks like, that it doesn't look like something, that you'd see on a magazine. But just knowing that this is a season, and I just tell myself like that I'm going to get it back and it's going to happen. I didn't think I could feel like myself ever again whenever it happened. And I didn't think that I could get my body back when it happened. And now I'm at the point where I realize that you can feel like yourself again. You will feel like yourself again. You will get sleep again, and just, I was able to cherish, with it being the 4th and the 5th kid, I feel like I was able to cherish them being babies and just soaking it all up, knowing they were my last, So,
It makes a difference.
yeah.
The days are long and the weeks and months are short.
That's awesome. So I was thinking about my time when I was stretched, and it will forever be 2017.
Yeah.
So we,
It will go down in infamy that year.
the year 2017. In fact, it was funny because we always print off, like I used to always print off Instagram books for like all of my memories. Oh no. And I got all the way to 2016 and I just stayed there for probably 3 or 4 years because I'm like, I refuse to go back to 2017.
Let the therapy begin. Go ahead, continue.
Now is your moment. Let's hear it.
Oh my gosh. So we had the picture perfect family. We had 2 boys and 2 girls. And in the fall of 2016, I felt like we had one more child coming. And I remember talking to Ben. I got the feeling he was out of town. I had a dream and I saw myself holding a baby that wasn't here. And it was one of those dreams that seemed real.
Well, y'all have to know something about Megan. Her dreams come true. She has like vivid dreams and they come true.
Well, I've had probably 3 or 4 and it's
Like big ones.
It's crazy. Anyways, so I told Ben, I was like, hey, I think we're supposed to have another baby. I had a dream. And he was like, okay. And that in itself was like the miracle.
Miracle
because-
number 1.
Yeah.
And I tell him often, he's like, you're the one who said we should have this 5th kid. And I'm like, yeah, but you were supposed to be the brakes. I figure if we get to heaven, then Heavenly Father would be like, you were supposed to have that 5th kid. And I could have just pointed the finger and be like, he didn't want to, so
I'm off the hook.
Yeah. But that didn't happen, which is how I know it was meant to be. And so Bennett was born in April. And that summer, it was the first week of July, I had taken the children, Kate and Luke and McKay, to reading time at the library to sign up for summer reading. Lily had stayed home with Ben and Bennett had stayed home with Ben. And I get home that night and Ben was like, something's not quite right, he says. And I was like, what happened? And long story short, he had had a mini stroke. And he had been sitting on the floor with Bennett and half of his body wouldn't work. And then he started to have like the after effects of that, like where he
That's
would
terrifying.
forget words. Like he was trying to speak to me and it wasn't coming out. And I just remember being like, tell me what's going on. So we take him to the hospital and we stay there. I have a 7-week-old baby and all my other kids. This was during the summer, so it wasn't too stressful, but we kind of farmed everyone else out.
Yeah, I think I came over for that night. I was terrified for Ben.
Yep. So we went and tried to figure out all the things for him and come to find out after he's been in the hospital for 3 or 4 days, he has a hole in his heart. The valve that's supposed to close when you're a baby doesn't close. And so they were like, we have to do surgery and close it up with an umbrella thing that they're going to do. Okay, so that was Wednesday. We're going to go
surgery. Cool.
We're going to go back to the day before. This is Tuesday. Ben and I have been at the emergency room for 24 hours. Our kids are with my mom. They're with Lindsay. They're with friends. And I get a call from my mom Tuesday night. And she's like, Megan, something's wrong with Bennett. And I was like, what's wrong? And she goes, he won't lift his arm up off the floor. I think his arm is broken. And I was just like, what?
How old was he?
7 weeks old. So I was like, oh no. So I went from Methodist emergency room over to Baptist pediatrics emergency room. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I was crying hysterically because my baby's arm was broken. Mom was like, I just thought that he was sad because you weren't around. And we'd kept him swaddled. No one knew how it happened.
And all the kids were gone.
And all the kids were gone different places. And so I'm there with the hospital and they're looking at me like I'm a criminal because my baby's arm is broken. Yeah. They don't know how it happened.
And you don't know how it
I don't know how it happened.
Which makes you seem like you're lying. This lady's crazy and abusive.
Yeah.
And crying hysterically.
Yeah.
So they let me take him home after they checked him out. But we had a file opened with child services.
It was broken.
Yes, it was broken.
Right.
He broke this arm.
Yeah.
And the main big bone up there. The next day, I was talking to my kids, just happened to be calling and checking on them. And I was like, hey guys, Bennett broke his arm. The police let me take him, but they said he's not allowed to be in anybody's custody but mine. And
Because they didn't trust us, like me and mom either.
no, you guys were on a list of like not approved.
Awesome. With the police department. Cool. Yeah.
Well,
I was able to help then. After that, I that's why I keep my distance, just in case things like this.
Were you in town? Were you?
were you in town?
Jared and I got married that January.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
It was crazy.
Anyway, so
You were talking to the kids.
I was talking to the kids, and one of my kids was like, I think I know what happened. I was getting him out of the car seat that morning, and his swaddle blanket got twisted up in his seatbelt. And then I heard him scream really loud. And I was like, yep, that was
Getting
it.
him out of the car seat.
So they had to go and talk to the Germantown police detectives.
Yeah, I took them there. That was terrifying.
Yeah. And we had a child service visit like weeks later to make sure our home was safe.
And that
Also
y'all were
terrifying
safe.
that
Jail
we
ain't
were
no
safe.
joke, y'all.
No. I mean, I can remember looking at one of my kids who likes to tell tall tales at the time and being like, you can't do that right here.
Yeah.
Don't make up stuff or you will be taken away. Like, this is a serious thing. Like, we don't do this. And then we get through that. And literally 1 month after that week, my gallbladder decides to explode. And
Yeah.
I had, so it's so funny because I had somebody, a neighbor that was like, oh my goodness, did you guys travel like this summer? We didn't see you guys out at all. And I'm like, no, we literally were at hospitals and broken. And
Did you get your deductible that year? You reached it, crushed it.
Crushed it,
You
got
know,
it
that
all.
might have been a little tiny tender mercy. It all happened at once.
but
Jeez.
I remember those days being so long. And I remember those times being like, why would this be the plan?
Yeah.
I was just doing what I felt called to do, which is to have another kid. Why would this be so hard?
Yeah.
Especially like when Ben was having trouble. He's a chiropractor. His whole livelihood is adjusting people physically.
Yeah.
Like to think that something was wrong was horrible. It was horrible.
Did you say Bennett was 7 weeks?
Yeah.
So I mean, you were 7 weeks postpartum too.
Oh, yeah.
Dealing with all of that.
No joke.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
And it was really, really horrible.
But what did you learn from it, Megan?
Yeah, please get to a question, Lindsay, for her.
Please.
We're losing her. Her eyes
She's
are
like-
glazing over.
She's living in the moment. She's back to 2017. Okay, 2018,
What are
Megan.
you proud of
What did you
yourself
learn and what are you proud of?
Yeah.
So I found this quote from a lady that I just happened to stumble upon on Instagram because the algorithm knows and loves me. And it is, her name is Alicia Trask, and she does devotionals about Christ. And this is what I feel like I learned. And she put it into words beautifully. You can be in the middle of God's will and still feel like you're drowning. The disciples were in the boat when the storm hit, not because they were disobedient, not because they went off course. They were literally following Jesus. And still, the winds howled, the waves crashed, the boat began to fill with water. And Jesus, he was sleeping. Ever feel like that? Like you're doing everything right, but the storms still come? And heaven feels silent? The disciples cried out, Master, carest thou not that we perish? And Jesus stood in the chaos and said, Peace be still, and the storm obeyed. Maybe Christ wants us to know peace isn't found in the calmer waters. It's found in closer proximity to him. He may not always calm the storm around you, but he will calm the storm within you. He speaks peace into panic, stillness into chaos, faith into fear. Maybe the storm isn't proof he's forgotten you. Maybe it's the very thing teaching you who he really is. The one even the winds and the sea obey. And in that season of hard, because it was horrible, I spent more time on my knees, praying for my husband to recover, and praying to be able to see the miracles throughout the moment. Like, that was probably the biggest thing I learned, is whenever you have times like that, you have got to hold on to the miracles. You have to hold on to the fact that your husband had just enough of a mini stroke to get him to the hospital, because he's a little stubborn. He would have never gone in for a checkup
Most men are.
to see what was wrong, but it was just enough.
To scare him, but not enough to make it permanent.
Lasting.
Yeah.
No permanent effects from this.
That's crazy.
It was a miracle that I got to bring Bennett home with me. When I called the pediatrician the next morning and told him what happened, he was like, I don't know what you did, but you shouldn't have your baby right now.
Wow.
I've not ever heard that this happened and they let you keep him. And I'm like, miracle.
Yeah.
Miracle. And with my gallbladder coming out, I mean, that was just a hot mess wreck. But I learned that was more painful than childbirth.
Wow.
And yeah, it was just one thing after another. I remember praying and being like, why? Why would you tell me to have a fifth kid and then try to take my husband?
You had some words with God.
I did. I had a lot of words.
Megan.
But he spoke back.
Yeah.
He's like, calm down.
Peace, be still.
Inside,
Yeah.
regardless on what is going on around you, you can find peace inside.
That's beautiful.
So I really loved that. I love looking at people around me that have gone through struggles and just seeing how they've come out on the other side. I think it's really cool. What do you think you guys have learned about God's character through your stretching seasons? What have you learned? Because we all have them.
What have we learned about his character?
Who he is.
What is your stretching season, Evie?
Do you have a stretching season?
That you thought of?
I would say, I feel like, I don't know, we could probably do a separate episode on this, but mine would be like postpartum with my first two. Those were my stretching seasons for me. And one thing that I learned about God's character through that is the love that he has for his children. It definitely brought me closer to him and made me realize, like, I love my children like this much. Like, I can't imagine how much, God loves all of his children.
I love that.
I think motherhood, like, gives us that, like,
Perspective.
yeah, that perspective of how much love God has for all of us.
Yep, that's exactly right. Lou, what about you with your stretching season? I feel like we've already talked about your stretching story from a few weeks ago.
That's not even the one I was thinking of.
Really?
Yeah.
Which one came to your mind?
I feel like I've had several big traumatic things, but mine, and this is probably another episode by itself, but getting pregnant with Kennedy. So like having bariatric surgery and gastric bypass, that was an answer to prayer to be able to get pregnant with our daughter, which seems like there's no link there. But to go through that was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life after that surgery and all the incisions and having abdominal surgery. And it was awful and almost dying, like while I was in the hospital. Like I had to have a blood transfusion and stuff. And I'm like, wait, I was following prayer, like following an answer to prayer. Why is this happening? It's the same thing. Like, well, this is supposed to be like the fix. This is supposed to help everything. And then to it working, it being the answer, and then just having faith and still like having one of the hardest pregnancies. So trials, you don't grow in trials. And I feel like sometimes breakthrough looks like breakdown first. So you have to almost like break down everything you thought things would be, everything that this picture of your life, to finally be like, okay, let me have a breakthrough in my life of what am I actually supposed to be doing? What do you want me to do? Because my plan's not working. And that is really hard because I'm a planner and a control freak. And I feel like those are the times when I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna you can't do anything but surrender. Now I'm trying to surrender by choice, hopefully avoiding some of those crazy things.
That make you surrender.
Right. But having to surrender with things like that in your life, it makes such a big difference. And I truly changed my relationship with God and with Christ because they were the only ones that understood what I was going through.
Yeah.
And all of those instances, it brought me closer to them.
I've had the same thoughts as you, Megan, like when I was going through that. Like, if you tell us to multiply and replenish, why does it have to be so hard?
Yeah.
Like, this is horrible. And, but what came to mind was that quote that's like, nothing worth doing is ever easy. But that's something that came to my mind. I was like,
I love.
it's so true.
I found this quote, Lindsay. You're going to appreciate this. Rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life. True. And that is said by J.K. Rowling.
Oh, that's great.
She's pretty successful.
She's super successful.
probably know.
But before Harry Potter like struck it big,
Yeah.
like she was destitute.
Totally.
And like her story is amazing to think about how it's like that rock bottom. And if I think about 2017, yes, it was hard. Yes, I still feel like I have physical scars from that and emotional scars I mean, you saw the glazed over look. Like it's still.
I can't believe you even brought it up. Like, I can't believe that it's gotten to the point where you can talk about it.
Yeah, because I don't.
Because
Very,
no,
You don't.
No. But it's just like that, those moments of hard. And I think it's important to talk about them because everyone just thinks if you look at the surface, like, oh, your life's so perfect. You've not ever had to do anything hard,
Yeah.
which is bullpucky.
Yeah, like how did we get to where we are, all of us?
Just hold on.
Can we pause for bull?
You got it. That's just bullpucky right there.
Say bull crap. It's okay.
Children might be in the car, Evie.
I feel like when we are in those moments, and I feel like I am having one of those right now that I'm stretching more than I ever have before. I'm not ready to talk about it, but because I'm like in the trenches, in the middle. But yeah, I feel like those are the moments where you look back and you're like, what would my life had been like? What would it have been like without it? And I'm so glad that I'm going through those things and that we've all experienced those things because it makes you a better person.
Yeah.
It makes you be able to help other people and sympathize to them. It helps you be an instrument in God's hands of being able to be someone who can be there for other people, and it changes your life.
Yeah.
So if you're in the middle of your stretching time and going through that, just know that while it feels like it's forever right now, it's going to be a memory soon and you're going to come out of it. And when I had my huge arm surgery, I remember when I was in the hospital and they told me that when I broke it in 6 places, I was in college. And it was the first trial I'd ever been through in my life that I remember having the feeling before I had the surgery. I was sitting there in the hospital and they told me it's broken and you're going to have major surgery and blah, blah, blah. And I remember sitting there thinking, for the first time, I felt this is a trial. And how you deal with this trial is what you're going to gain from it. So you're about to go through this and it's going to be really hard, but you need to pay attention to the fact that this is a trial on purpose. You're supposed to learn something. And I wish I had that every time, but I think I needed it then because I'd never experienced anything like that. And so if you're in the middle, just know that you're going to come out of this a different person in all the best ways.
Hang in there. The great Maya Angelou says, you may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them. So if you're in the middle of this struggle and if you're having a hard time, just hang in there. Recognize that he doesn't give you anything more than you can handle and that he is very creative in his teaching methods. Until next time.
Keep striving. We'll see y'all soon.
Thanks for hanging out with us here at Southern Sisters. If you loved today's episode, don't forget to follow us on social media for more laughs, heart-to-hearts, and behind-the-scenes real life. We'd be thrilled if you subscribed to the podcast, left us a review, and shared it with your friends, because life's always better when we're on this journey together. Until next time, keep striving, keep laughing, and keep showing up. We'll see you all back here real soon.